Anyway, I found the film to be a very, very emotional and honestly pretty damn satisfying conclusion to the Craig series. It does some things that I never thought I'd see in a Bond movie, honestly, but it really it goes back to like previous characters and kind of previous plot elements, and I feel really like ties a good neat bow on them. It's one of the best made films in the series by far. It kind of gives Skyfall a challenge for like how beautifully shot it is. It's an extremely well, not just like a really good looking film because it looks really good, but it's also a really well directed movie. Cary Fukunaga, he very much gives it a different kind of tone than Sam Mendes did. Um, gives it a very gritty, very intense, and very again emotional tone. It's very much him taking the Bond series and really just like having fun with it, but also just bringing something like I don't know, sort of a fresh sense of direction to the table. It's a surprisingly funny film as well. I have to say that like like there is definitely humor in it, even though as dark as it can get, there are definitely like there are some jokes and there are some good lines thrown in that kind of help alleviate some of the darkness. There is overall sense of heart and optimism to the film as well. So don't be worried that like it's just gonna be all like doom and gloom. And the narrative of it, I would say, was very solid. I mean, there are a couple of details that could have maybe been like made a bit more clear, and are maybe a little bit undercooked. But a lot of this, a lot of the writing is really good, and it's a long film definitely, but it's also like not a film where I'm thinking, oh, there's a lot of obvious shit that they could cut out of this. It does. It's clear what like where each act begins and each act ends, and it's also a film that like benefits heavily from the fact that Craig is like really at the top of his game in this film. Like he really just like he knows this is his last one, and he just like he goes out with like a bang. He just really, to excuse the pun, he just really digs into the role. He emotionally he like really like he plays it really really well. He does humor really well too. Yeah, he goes out, he again, as I said, goes out with a bang. The other performances are really strong too. A lot of the cast is like fairly big, but I felt that they were very well utilized. There are some great additions like Lashana Lynch's this new 007. Also Anna de Armas as well. She does really really well as a kind of almost like kind of a Bond girl in training, almost is how I describe her, and she's really awesome in her part. Yeah, but the standouts for me are definitely like Lea Seydoux does much better here than she did in Spectre. She gets a lot of really raw dramatic material to work with. Not to mention Rami Malek as the villain of the film, and he's not in it a huge amount. It's kind of one of those situations where he kind of pops in and out, and he's mostly there in the third act. But surprisingly, his character does have a bit of depth to him that you don't sometimes expect in a Bond villain. Like you sort of see, like you understand what his motive is. His motive is very very easy to understand. But it's not really simplistic, but it is sort of like it's easy to understand why he's doing what he's doing, why he wants to do what he does. He's a very intimidating, creepy presence on screen, but you can understand it. Like he is similar to Bond in a few different ways, and I found that to be really affecting. And yeah, and the last 20 minutes are definitely they left me a bit like shaken, I would say, and not stirred. I was very, very moved by what they did at the end. I found it to be very like powerful. I don't think there's really, I can't really think of it like they could have maybe ended it a bit differently. But honestly, I feel like they kind of just needed to commit to this, and what they committed to is a choice that's like very, very bold, definitely. But it's a very satisfying end, especially with like the very last line and the very last shot as well of this film is perfect. As a conclusion, it's just it's a fantastic shot that they do to kind of conclude Craig's tenure, and it's a really yeah, it's a like it just like there's yeah, in terms of like any other flaws, that like there are a couple of like silly moments, but not enough to like fully ruin the film. It's not really as gritty as Casino Royale, but it's definitely a bit darker than like Spectre and Skyfall. Even, you know, like there was a bit more outlandishness to those films, but this film does find it finds a good balance. I would say it finds a balance between, yeah, the larger than life stuff, but also, you know, the genuine, the drama that has been more emphasized in the Craig films, and that's like been really great to see. It definitely, like, this era of Bond is definitely gonna leave a bit of a tough act to follow for the next era. But you know, like whatever they do with it, I mean, what if it measures up, then I think that'll be really solid. Yeah, No Time to Die. I don't know if I call it as good as Casino Royale or Skyfall. Um, in some ways, I'd call it. I don't really want to put it straight in the middle because I feel like it's closer to those two than Quantum and Spectre. Um, I feel like it's a big improvement over Spectre. I feel in many different ways, but this one really just like, I don't know. It just like it nails. It gives you what you want as a Bond fan. It does have references in it, but it also gives you what you never thought you'd see as well in a Bond film too. Like it gives you things in it that you wouldn't really expect to see, but you do see them, you know. And it just, I was kind of blown away by it, to be honest. But yeah, I'd heavily recommend it. Sorry if the audio is shit, you know. It's the evening, bad weather. But yeah, you can't see my face either. Like, you know what I'll do? I'll just like put this over like a poster of the film or whatever, something like that. Anyway, great. Yeah, highly recommend it. I mean, you're probably gonna see it anyway, and you probably will have, and you might have already seen it, you know, by the time you watch this video. But yeah, recommend it heavily.